Bismillahirrahmanirrahim wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. When we were studying Marifa, I said that we did not have to study Nakira because what is not classified as Marifa will be considered to be Nakira. However, having said that, at this point in time, it is important to study at least two types of Nakira. They're not only clearly two types of nakira, there are more than two, but these two are quite important, and I thought we should study these in detail. So, ism nakira could be divided into these two main types. Ism zat and ism sifa. Now, this is a bit of a revision from last time that I have pronounced that ism zat, and the reason for that is this is lam of definiteness, and from here I have gone direct to zal because zal is sun letter, and coincidentally Swad is also sun letter here, so ismus sifa sifati. We said last time that the reason for this is because these two words, lam and zal, their articulation point in our oral cavity is quite near to one another, are exactly the same. So having the same articulation point, what is the Arabic terminology? So the Arabic terminology is being ham makhrij. We should become familiar with this terminology as well, ham makhrij. Kharaja yakhruju means to go out or to exit. Kharaja yakhruju. Madi mudare. And there is the masdar is khuruj, which means exiting or action of exit. And then from this, then we have makhraj or makhraj. Sometimes both pronunciations are correct. Makhraj, makhrajun. This is the place of exiting. So the place from where those two words exit, kind of, if they're close together, then this rule applies. So that will be classed as sun letter. And for sun letters and moon letters, the Arabic terminology is that harf is singular, harfun, plural will be hurufun, and those which fall into this category will be called hurufush shamsiya. Huruf shamsiya. So where does this ya come from? It is like saying Pakistan and Pakistani. So when we write Pakistani in Urdu, ya is added. It's that kind of ya of ownership. That's a bit of advanced topic, so we're not going to go into that. So huruf al-shamsiya, and the others are huruf al-kamariya, moon letters. Ruful Kamariyatu. So sun letters, moon letters, that's the Arabic terminology of these words. Lastly, before we go to our today's topic, last time I did spelling mistake when writing ayah from Surah Quraysh. The ayah is that fal ya'budu rabba hazal bayti. So I did not add this alif of haza in there. In other Arabic writing, you can perhaps drop that, but in Quranic ayahs, when we write full ayah, it has to be written exactly the way it is in Quran. And in any case, this alif is part of haza, so it has to be written here. And this, what looks like alif, is hamza of al-bayt. So when we combine this with this word, so we go to, this is a moon letter, and we go from there to there, and in doing so, this is not pronounced and this is also not pronounced. They're both there in writing, but they do not come in pronunciation. So it was important to make that correction. Now, Ism Nakra, so we've got Ism Zat and Ism Sifa. Let's focus on Ism Zat first. Ism Zat. All these words fall into the category of Ism Zat. Ism Zat is the kind of name of an entity, we can say, name of entity such as person. So not person as the name of a person, that will be Ism Alam. Ism Zat will be person, kind of the genus person. For example, genus is biology term, it's quite a good one. Not genus or gender, genus or species, I think is another word as well, species. So if we say, for example, a person is rajulun, man. So rajulun is a person from the genus of men. And similarly, we can have a genus of women, for example. So we'll say imra'atun, woman, rajulun, man. We have a shopping center close by, and there is a shop called Mankind. So men as a genus or species, mankind. I think that should be the translation of that. Similarly, there could be womenkind, fish kind, cattle kind. So that's what this person means. So name of person could be name of a place, not a specific place such as Makkah, that will be Ism Alam, but it's in this general terminology. Animal, the name of that could be an animal, and could be a thing, and may also be non-living things, entities that are not physical, for example.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
So these are quite a few words which are all Ism Zat, examples of Ism Zat. For example, we have here waladun, boy, child, ibnun, son, bintun, girl, or daughter, used for both. Rajulun, man, imra'atun, woman, Madinatun, city. Madinatun, any city, not Al-Madinatu, which is name of a specific city in Saudi Arabia. So Madinatun, a city. Baytun, house, a house. Hadikatun, garden. Kalbun, dog. Dajajatun, hen. Dikun, rooster. Asadun, lion. And Hisanun, horse. So quite a few words. This is kind of our vocabulary as well, you know. So nice to be familiar with these words. I wanted to point out a couple of things here. For example, let's look at this. Hadikatun is garden. And there is another word for garden, Jannatun. Jannatun is also garden. Jannatun is a garden in which there is excessive growth, which is lush green, and sometimes they say so much greenery that you cannot even see sunlight on the ground. So there is excessive growth. So that's Jannah, any garden. And then Al-Jannatu will be a specific place. We are familiar with that. So Jannatun, garden. Hadikatun is garden. Hadika, if you go to Dubai next time, just wherever you see a park, you will see written Hadika. So it's kind of park kind of thing, that kind of garden. And there is another word called Bustanun. Bustanun. That's also garden. And this garden is kind of private garden where you have high walls. It's surrounded by high walls. There may be boundary in Hadika as well, park boundary, but this is kind of purely private and very high walls. So that's Bustan. So at least 3 words for garden in Arabic with minor differences in the meaning. That's one point. Another point, I can see here some words. These are Ibnun, for example. Ibnun. Imra'atun. And also Ism, which has been using Isman. So this all has got this Hamza. And then we have said Hamza of lam of definiteness, Al. That's also Hamza. Hamza of Al always takes Fatha. And these others tends to take Kasira. That's one difference. And the other is that most of the words which start with Hamza that Hamza will be Hamzatul Qat'a, it will be pronounced. Even there is something before that. But the Hamza in these words specifically, this is also Hamza of that kind, Hamzatul Wasl. This Hamza, when something comes, a word comes before that, this Hamza will be dropped in pronunciation just the way Hamza of lam of definiteness is dropped. So for example, Isabna Maryama. So Isabna Maryama, mentioned in Quran. So what's happening here is that Hamza is not pronounced. So this is Hamzatul Wasl. Similarly, there's another example, Bismi Rabbikal Lazi. So we write like this. Bismi Rabbika. Rabbikal Lazi. So from this is Ba. So from Ba we go to Sin. We do not pronounce Hamza of Ism. So rather than Bi-Ism, actually this is Bi-Ism, but this is dropped in pronunciation. So Bismi Rabbikal Lazi Khalaq. So these Hamzas are also, they fall into the category of Hamzatul Wasl. Right. There is another word here, Baytun. Baytun is for house, and this is masculine. And there is another word for Bayt is Darun. That's also house. But there's a subtle difference between the two. The nuance of that. It's Baitun is from Bata Yabitu, which means to spend the night. The verb is Bata, Madi, and Mudare will be Yabitu. Yabitu. Bata Yabitu, which means to spend the night. So from that we have Bait, house in that meaning. On the other hand, from Darun, we have Dara Yaduru. Dara Yaduru. Madi Mudare. Yaduru. Which basically means to go around. The place where you move around and move with kind of freedom. So it is, Darun is in that kind of meaning, but both means, in translation means house. One final point before we go to Ism Sifa is that we said that we can make, from masculine, we can make feminine by adding ta marbuta to that word. In Ism Zat, most of the time we cannot do that. There's one example here which is an exception. For example, kalbun. Kalbun is a he dog, and we can make by adding ta marbuta, we can make this feminine. It will become kalbatun. So he dog, she dog. So that's an exception. But otherwise, for example, if we look here, deacon, rooster, so we cannot make this feminine by adding deekatun. That word doesn't exist. So similarly, rajulun, we cannot say rajulatun. That doesn't exist. Rajulun, we have imra'atun, the opposite of that. Similarly, bintun, ibnun, and bintun, they are, we can, yeah, so these are different words. Very occasionally, these words can take ta marbuta and become feminine. Most of the time, that does not apply to Ism Zat.